This is a latrine winterization video that I'm making so that the facility guys know how to shut down a latrine at the camp. It's pretty simple. Let's go run through it real quick. First, we're going to shut off the water to the latrine. All of these latrines have a shut off someplace nearby. You either have to shut it off, or if the entire water system is down already, you don't really have to worry about shutting that off because the water pressure is already cut off. But first step is shutting off the water. Make sure it's not running. On this latrine, we have a silcock here you can open up, and that'll help gravity drain the water out of this. This is for gravity draining. There, you can do a air pressure kind of purge, but we're just going to do gravity today. All right, so open up every faucet you can find. So that's the hose bib. Most of these latrines have a hose bib. We're going to pop off, open up both sides of the faucet. Also going to remove the necks because water tends to get jammed in and stuck inside here. And over the wintertime, it'll freeze and pop off and break, and we don't want that. So these just spin off real easy. They spin on, spin off. Nothing hard about that. I leave them in the sink. I haven't lost any yet doing it that way. So same with this sink. Open it up. Flush every toilet. This latrine has two. So just flush it. That'll open the flush valve, which will drain the tank and then also relieve pressure in that water line. Same with that one. And then you're going to go and disconnect the low point, which on these latrines is usually right here next to the valve for the toilet, the shut-off valve. So I break that free there. It's just a little 3/8 nut. You pop it open, and that'll drain that last little bit of water out of the neck if there's any, or a little loop, you know. And then we're going to remove. You can do these two options. The P-traps for all these drains. You either got to remove the drain cap, which is at the bottom of the drain. And I put the drain cap up on the top here so you don't lose it. You can also put these in a bucket and keep them. You just got to keep track of them for next year. So you can drain this out, or you can add RV antifreeze to the P-trap. But I like to drain them out because what happens is campers will come and they'll dump a cup of water in there and not realizing it's winterized with antifreeze in the trap, and that water will dilute it, and they have that risk of breaking that P-trap over the wintertime. So it's easiest just to remove it. You don't get a lot of smell out of the septic systems out of these traps, so you don't worry about that. Then the next step is to add RV or marine antifreeze to the toilets. What I like to do first is to plunge as much water as I can out of the toilet bowl. See this one filled up a little bit. Just get it as low as possible so you don't need as much antifreeze, because you're basically adding antifreeze to the water that's already existing in the bowl. So get as little water as possible there, and then you're going to add this RV antifreeze. It's got to be RV antifreeze. You don't want to use vehicle or car antifreeze because that's hazardous to the environment. And you're just going to add it until basically it all looks pink. You don't have to get super scientific. If you read the directions, it'll probably tell you, but you're going to use at least a cup in a bowl. And then you're going to also use at least a cup in the tank, because you have a little bit of water at the base of the tank here. And it's very important not to drain the tank completely of water so you don't have to use RV antifreeze, because all of these little gaskets like to stay wet. There's a gasket at the screw bolts that'll hold the tank in place. There's a gasket at the bottom of the flush valve, and this rubber gasket for the flush mechanism itself. They all like to be wet, and if you let them dry out, then they crack, and then they are no good. You got to replace them. So you definitely want to add antifreeze to the water that's in the back. Like I said, flush it first though, so you don't have a full tank. You just want a little bit of water at the bottom. So when you flush it, that handles that for you. What else? All right, and so the last step is basically just a cleanup. We take all of the shovels and rakes and stuff that happen to be near this latrine. We're gonna store them right here inside the latrine. It wouldn't hurt to do a quick sweep and clean this latrine out. Somebody took the broom, so I will have to go get that after. But Sweep it out, get rid of some of the cobwebs, close our windows. No need for these to be open in the wintertime. Shut off our lights. Shut the bowls. That's going to keep rodents from trying to get in and get a drink and dying in the toilet, which is lovely to clean up in the spring, especially in the tank. If you get a rodent in the tank, that's really nasty to clean up. All their guts and hair and stuff gets stuck in all the flushing mechanisms. You don't want that. So, store everything in here, close the doors, and since these ones don't have locks or anything, I'm going to use a mechanism that I built to screw the doors shut. There's no science behind this. It's just make it so people can't get in. So I built this so that these boards keep you from being able to turn the handles. Because it's a rotation handle, this board stops it. And that just gets screwed into place just like that. See, this one lines up nicely. Another screw on that end. It's pretty simple. But you could also try to screw the door shut, but as you can see, that kind of breaks pieces off once in a while. And we're trying to cause a little damage as possible. So that is essentially it. If we're talking about using air pressure, which is great, you do basically the same thing, but first what you're going to do is you're going to add air to the system. You could do it at that silcock there, you know, shut off there and add air here with a compressor and an adapter to that hose silcock, and you just pressurize this with air, and then all you do is you just run all the faucets until all you get is air coming out. Flush the toilets last, because when you flush the toilet, it's going to just continuously spray air out of it because it's a flushing mechanism. When there's no water, it stays open, and so air just pisses out. You don't necessarily want that yet. You want to use that air pressure to purge the water out of your faucets, out of your silcock, and then flush the toilets last. If you do an air pressure purge, you don't even really need to worry about disconnecting any of these water lines underneath the sink. I think one of the last things I forgot to tell you, same here, same as the toilets, you want to remove that braided line from the shutoff because it tends to have a low point and it traps water in there. You don't want that. Okay? But if you're doing air pressure, you're just gonna purge air out of the system until there's no water left. It's pretty simple. You just open every faucet until you got nothing but air coming out, and then you can shut it down and you should be good, so long as you got all that water out. Pretty simple. Okay, I think that's it. Have a good winter.